What's up guys, Thomas Alex Norman here, and we have another travel video demonstration for you today. We're going to be talking about composition. Composition is one of the most important things that you need to nail a couple of rules in your head before you can go out and really get those nice shots. As you get more and more advanced, you can start abandoning composition rules in favor of your own intuition, but I really recommend if you're getting started or even in the intermediate phase that you learn and relearn these composition rules, because they're really going to help you out getting some really aesthetic shots to start out with. So the format of this video is going to be getting a normal shot without any kind of composition rules, just kind of pointing and shooting, and then applying a composition rule to each shot. So we're going to go over maybe 3 to 5 in this video, and we're going to start now. So the first one is going to be the classic, you may have heard it before, it's the rule of thirds. What the rule of thirds means is keeping a grid in your mind or on your screen if your camera has that option, and then putting your subject within one of the intersecting lines of that frame. We're gonna wait a second. Yo! Good, see you tomorrow. She keeps on calling me fucking Alex, it's not my name. That's the girl from the Travel Video Academy that I'm seeing tomorrow. Jealous. Okay, so as you see on my screen here, we have the W Hotel in Barcelona. So what you might do is point the camera at the W and just kind of film it for a bit. So this is the beginner's style, if you will. Next thing you can do is apply the rule of thirds. So here, what I want to do is zoom in slightly to kind of isolate the shot a little bit. And I'm going to put the W on one of the intersecting lines on the grid on my camera. So as you can see here, we still got this pole in the shot, and we're not going to make it perfect, we're not going to clean it up fully. But just because it is on one of those intersecting lines, suddenly it looks much better. What I can also do is change the shot to maybe put it up, so the horizon is on the bottom line and the W intersects with one of those intersecting lines, and that looks really nice. A quick trick and bonus tip here, if you like, is to do a little bit of movement, but keeping the W in this position on the grid. So maybe let's move left to right here, but we still keep the W in exactly the same position on that grid. And that looks really nice. Okay, composition rule number 2 is leading lines. So let's try and figure out a way that we can get a leading line within this shot here. So we're on this kind of pathway here, and we're looking towards this fish statue thing right at the end over there. I don't even know if it is a fish. Whatever it is, we want to film this statue, and we're going to point the camera at it. There you go. Standard fish shot. The next thing we can do is apply leading lines. So we're going to make use of this railing here to try and kind of lead up to the fish. We're going to, again, zoom in a little bit. And what this railing here is going to do is it's going to kind of take the viewer's eyes from here to here. It's literally like a pointer. People's eyes in each shot like to kind of follow lines into the horizon, into the distance. So what we can see here is this fence is leading onto this fish here. And that already looks like a better shot. What you can do with leading lines is come closer to them to make them a bit more obvious, you know. This isn't such an obvious leading line here. This is kind of a more obvious one. If you apply this with the rule of thirds, putting it here, for example, in this corner, suddenly you've got a nice shot because the fish is in the corner of the shot in the intersecting area, and then the railing is leading towards that fish. We've got people walking in and out here, but I hope you can get my point. A nice thing to do with leading lines too is maybe emphasize that with camera movement and follow along, kind of dollying along. All right. Framing. How can we do framing? Frame something. How can we frame something? With a bench? Nah. So the next thing we're going to do is apply framing to this shot. Now, there's 2 senses of the word framing, which can be a little bit confusing. One sense of the word is how you're literally framing your shot, like what's in and what's out of your shot. But if we look at it in terms of composition, then framing actually means literally putting a frame around your shot using something in the foreground. So we got this kind of muscle beach bar thing going on here. It's quite hard to make this an interesting shot, you know, because we're up here, maybe I don't want to go down or I don't want to go closer for whatever reason, or I can't. And it's kind of like, how do I make this an interesting shot? I can be zoomed in, I can zoomed out. It's kind of like there's not really much going on. It looks a bit flat, looks a bit plain. So what I can do We have a fence here, which will make a natural frame. I mean, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but as soon as we're kind of framing this up, even not around the whole shot, but maybe just on the sides of it, it instantly looks a bit more like cinematic here. And you can kind of get like a blur in the foreground and this thing sharp in the background, which is gonna look really nice. Sorry, mate, we're filming. So, mate, stop. No.
Photograph professional.
No, thanks, mate. We're filming. Hope you filmed that. Okay, next composition rule is symmetry. It's quite easy to point and shoot your camera at something and it looks kind of like, how do I make these palm trees look interesting? Could try some artistic stuff. But what is kind of easier is make it symmetrical. It's kind of a rule that you can keep in your head. Make things symmetrical. So we got these two palm trees leading up to the sky here. They kind of are also like leading lines going up this way and this way, which is quite interesting. But really what we're looking at here is symmetry. So the two palm trees, it's almost like a mirror. If you copied the left one into the right one, it's a mirror, apart from this plane trail going in. And that's very nice. You can also play on this as well with some camera movement. Maybe kind of tilting up like this would emphasize this kind of symmetry, or maybe even kind of moving into it. So maybe a kind of like a shot like that. Even though we're not fixed on the shot, that symmetry can help us out and making things just look a little bit sharper, a little bit neater. So those were 4 composition rules that you can apply to your videos. They're very quick, very easy, and this wasn't the most beautiful setting, you know? I wasn't making the most epic, beautiful video here, but the shots I got in the end, just by applying rules, rather than even thinking that much about it, I'm literally just applying rules to each shot, and we start getting something that looks a lot better. So if you want a list of all the gear that I used, check out the description below to download the free gear list. That's going to take you over there. Pop in your email and I'll send that over to you straight away, along with some tips and tricks on how to continue your travel filmmaking journey. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep filming. Bye-bye.